There you go. You're wearing it. There you go. You're wearing it.
Please come up. My whole.
There you go.
High water.
You're wearing it.
Where Thomas continues to happen and again is escaping, coming up. He was just as.
Please come up. My whole.
It was screaming, just screaming as well. Street with construction truck. I'm just picking people up with this.
There you go.
High water.
Putting them in the bed.
You're wearing it.
And the dogs. There were so many dogs left behind.
Where Thomas continues to happen and again is escaping, coming up. He was just
and I couldn't get it.
Please come up. My whole.
It was screaming, just screaming as well. Street with construction truck. I'm just picking people up with this.
There you go.
high water.
You're wearing it.
And the dogs. There were so many dogs left behind.
Thomas continues to happen and again
I
is
saw a
escaping,
dog gripping
coming
onto a
up.
fence.
He was just
And I couldn't get it.
Please come up. My whole.
Dorian from the Halifax area where the storm is making landfall to New Brunswick. But we are going to begin tonight with our chief meteorologist, Anthony Farnell, who is standing by live in Halifax with details on what we can expect to see in the next several hours. Anthony.
Sarah, it has been a crazy day so far with this front end of Hurricane Dorian, now a Category 2 hurricane, and that is because of some winds that were found on the backside a little bit earlier this afternoon. 160 kilometer per hour winds officially. We have had gusts in the 140 to 150 range within the Halifax area, and that has caused obviously some trees to come down. Power outages are widespread, as you'll talk more about, but this radar says it all. All of that green and yellow and red that's out there, well, that is all the front half of the storm. The back half, there's barely any rain. There is, however, quite a bit of wind. So as far as the flooding concern goes, river levels are going to continue to go up even as the rain tapers off. But what we're seeing as far as storm surge is a different story. And earlier we were right down by the boardwalk here in Halifax, the waves crashing up during high tide. In fact, they were crashing right through underneath the boardwalk, and that caused some damage up and down. And of course, beach erosion is a big concern once you get out into the open Atlantic and those shores. And we have now some of the buoys that are reporting waves in the 8 to 12 meter range, and that is incredible stuff. The backside, that's what we have left to get through. Already the winds are a lot lighter here, Sarah, than they were just a couple of hours ago. So what's left of the eye, well, that's what's moving through Halifax now. That's going to allow some emergency crews to get out there, but don't do too much outside, because I am telling you that we're going to see some 100+ kilometer per hour gusts on the backside. This time, though, the wind coming in from the west and northwest, and that's going to bring more trees down, and unfortunately it's going to be a long night. So still a lot to get through, but the glimmer of hope is that right now we're seeing Dorian, a post-tropical hurricane, if that makes any sense. It's basically losing its tropical characteristics, but we are going to see, as it comes ashore, finally conditions improving later tonight. Sarah?
All right, thank you so much for this, Anthony. Anthony Farnell will be back with us later in the show with more, and meteorologist Ross Hall will have your full forecast coming up in a few minutes. Well, as this storm continues to intensify, the federal government is already pledging help with the recovery. Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness Ralph Goodale says Nova Scotia has asked for help and the military is being mobilized to deploy to the province. But as Jesse Thomas tells us, it's likely the cleanup won't begin in earnest until tomorrow.
Heavy wind gusts and torrential rain hammered Halifax early Saturday afternoon as the storm intensified. Uprooted and broken trees littered streets across the peninsula, damaging parked cars and blocking streets.
Quite a thing here going on here.
It'll be a busy day for you?
Oh yeah, very. Yeah, so anyway, we'll figure it out.
Another reason to stay indoors, loose items from construction sites. Police closed this street after 4x6 sheets of plywood were sent sailing down the street. Emergency management officials say those airborne items pose a great danger to the public, and we're asking contractors to clean up any loose materials.
We've been getting complaints today and notifications about lumber material left unattended, construction sites unsecured. So those are our big concern right now. We've been working with our policing partners all morning, trying to identify companies and reaching out to them.
Late in the afternoon, a construction crane collapsed onto an unfinished building downtown, a clear example of the danger with this kind of wind. Heavy wind gust even tore a large chunk of roof off a 50-unit apartment building. Halifax Fire was on scene to help evacuate the tenants, while City Transit were taking those stranded to an evacuation center being run by the Red Cross.
Volunteers across Nova Scotia and the rest of Atlantic Canada are on standby to respond, and we will support communities that are impacted by this disaster.
By mid-afternoon, high tide saw strong storm surges pounding the Halifax harbor and rocking ships at the dock. The damage is building up even before the hurricane makes landfall. Sarah, the winds continue to get stronger and stronger, and the damage reports, they continue to climb. Halifax Fire, they're everywhere, responding to calls of downed power lines and trees that have been broken or uprooted. Sarah, the winds continue to get stronger and stronger, and the damage reports, they continue to climb. Halifax Fire, they're everywhere, responding to calls of downed power lines and trees that have been broken or uprooted that are blocking streets. Now, the sun...
In that pack, talk to me about...
That's been a big concern, especially, wow, we got a major gust coming through right now, but flying debris was one of the major concerns, and we...
Strongest winds right near the center, Sarah. It's still nothing to laugh at because we're still going to see that backside like you would in a true hurricane, with winds, in this case, still quite strong.
To Seaforth and have course of action is to sift through the rubble, searching for any salvageable items. Meanwhile, the Canadian government says it's providing emergency military support to areas in the Bahamas. Global Affairs Canada says a Canadian Armed Forces Hercules aircraft has been sent to provide airlifts. Ottawa previously sent a disaster assistance team and $500,000 to the region. The death toll in the Bahamas is now above 40 and is expected to climb. More than 70,000 people have been left homeless. It is time now for a look at your full forecast, and for that we're going to go to meteorologist Ross Hull. Ross, you and I drew the indoor assignments for today. Certainly been a dangerous day. We've seen incredible pictures from right across the region all day today.
And this is quite the potent storm, and we'll hear more, I believe, from Anthony coming up. Let's talk first about, of course, the here and now. The warnings continue. Hurricane warnings in red for the Atlantic coast of Nova Scotia, stretching east into Cape Breton. We've got tropical storm warnings as well, farther north into the province and across Prince Edward Island. And, of course, that storm surge of concern on the Atlantic coast, the Gulf of St. Lawrence, too. And not to mention the heavy rainfall. We have seen some heavy bands of rain move through. I'll show you what to expect coming up. Let's take a look at that radar satellite. Anthony mentioning what was left of the eye now starting to move north and east. The center of the storm, if you will, it's now become extra post-tropical. It's a hurricane-force post-tropical storm. Still a potent storm, but the center of that storm, about 80 kilometers southwest of Halifax, moving towards the northeast at about 40 kilometers per hour. This is an enhanced satellite image. Yes, the center of the storm moving towards Halifax, but look at how widespread this storm has become. So it has expanded, and look at the latest track. Expect it to weaken as it moves north and east, but don't put your guard down just yet, because when the eye, the south side of that eye, moves through, still some strong wind gusts expected, over 100 kilometers per hour in certain cases. I thought I'd show you some of those winds. That area in red you're seeing is winds close to 100 kilometers per hour, 80 to 100. Notice by, well, Sunday, things do certainly start to ease. By the overnight, they will, but around Cape Breton, still some strong westerly winds, and all areas start to see a break by Monday. There's the center of the storm making landfall. Heavy rain, mainly to the north of Halifax. Still some heavy bands, though, possible. And you can see the heaviest rain along the eye, or the center of that storm. But the worst is over as we head through tomorrow morning. Still some breezy conditions, and there will be calmer weather as we head into Monday, too, for the anticipated cleanup. Looking at rainfall amounts over the next 48 hours, this is on top of what's already fallen. As we look at your forecast now for tomorrow in Moncton, 16 degrees. Nice to see that sunshine icon, isn't it? Same situation in Halifax, much calmer weather conditions expected. As we take a look now at how things are working over the next 7 days in Fredericton, calm conditions on Monday into Tuesday, chance of showers Wednesday, and more showers into Thursday. Well, it looks like some sunshine into Friday and Saturday of next weekend. In Halifax, yes, a calmer day tomorrow, high of 17, up to 20 on Monday with some sunshine. Next chance of showers looks to be on Wednesday, Thursday. Things look to clear up by the weekend on Friday and Saturday. But of course, we're still keeping an eye on this powerful storm, Sarah, as it starts to move onshore. Anthony Farnell will have the latest, and of course, on social media, and of course, on globalnews.ca.
All right, thanks so much for this, Ross. Let's go back one more time to our chief meteorologist, Anthony Farnell, who is standing by live on the Halifax waterfront, soaking wet. Anthony, the pictures we've been seeing throughout the day of the damage caused by this storm have really been incredible. There is more to come tonight.
There is, and it's a different storm going forward. Right now, relative calm. We get the occasional gust here in downtown Halifax, but it's not nearly as strong or as persistent as it was, say, just an hour ago. The rain is also lightening up, and we're not going to see much more than a shower after, say, 8 o'clock tonight. So conditions are improving in that regard. The wind, however, has been just howling, coming in off the Atlantic Ocean from the east. That's also been piling water up the boardwalk, the waves crashing over, some flooding as well. That wind is now switching. As the storm passes by, it's going to switch to the northwest and then west as we move through the night tonight. That's good and bad news. It's coming off of land, so that's obviously better. It'll push the water right back out into the Atlantic. But it's also a different direction. So if there are tree branches that are still stuck in trees or maybe on power lines, a complete reversal in wind direction is going to cause those to come down. And we still are expecting 100 to 120 kilometer per hour gusts as this now post-tropical storm moves past. And even though it has lost its true hurricane characteristic, which is the strongest winds right near the center, Sarah, it's still nothing to laugh at, because we're still going to see that that backside like you would in a true hurricane, with winds, in this case, still quite strong for the region. Sarah?
All right, thanks again, Anthony. Anthony Farnell is going to be here all weekend, keeping you up to date. So just before we leave you tonight, some important things to keep in mind for the next couple of days. The City of Halifax has issued a boil water advisory for residents who get their water from surface water sources like lakes. All Halifax transit services have been cancelled until noon. The road to Peggy's Cove and the Lawrencetown Road, Highway 7 as well into Seaforth, and have been closed. If you need immediate help, you do need to call 911 in both Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. Some other numbers for you to know. Call 811 for non-emergency health information. 511 will get you road conditions. In the Halifax area, call 311 for municipal information. To report outages, downed trees, or power lines, contact Nova Scotia Power's outage line at 1-877-428-6004 or NB Power at 1-800-663-6272. All right, that is all the time we have tonight. Thank you so much for watching this special edition of Global News at 6. Join us again for Global News at 11 and tomorrow evening at 6. As always, keep up to date online at globalnews.ca/Halifax or globalnews.ca/New Brunswick. Stay inside tonight, folks. Stay safe. We're going to leave you now with some video of this storm as it made its way into our region today. A reminder, some of the worst is yet to come tonight.
The president is still defending his doctored map, insisting that he was right about Hurricane Dorian hitting Alabama. For more on this, it's time for a closer look.